have a very Today we have a very special person who will speak to us. I personally have spent a lot of time with his brother. He's an amazing older brother to me, and really he's been an amazing impact on so many people, and he's really beloved by many for a reason, right? Because he really puts in the effort and the love to get to know people and to care for them, and wherever he goes he supports his community, and he's a light, for us, and it's so nice to have an older brother like him here in Europe and in our communities. So he's amazing. I could go on, but I'm not the one who's going to speak tonight. It's actually going to be our dear older brother, Antto Hassinen. So please welcome him up with a warm applause.
Oh, thanks a lot, Peter. I'm really relieved that you didn't keep on going longer. Otherwise, I would have felt so awkward. I would have left the call probably. No, but it's yeah, really a joy to be here and seeing all of you. Some of you haven't seen for a long time, so it's really great to see you again. Yeah, without further ado, I do have a timeline that I want to exceed. So let me just share my screen. And I want to start off with another question. Can you see? Good. So, simple question. Which line on the right-hand side is the same length as the one on the left? You can just unmute and shout thoughts.
C.
C.
Looks like also C to me.
Good. All right. So I think lots of people are seeing that it's a C. Okay, Beatrice is saying that maybe it's none of them. No, C is the correct answer. And this is actually related to an experiment called the Ash experiment. And in this kind of situation, a person was asked this question. However, they were not alone. They were in a room together with 20 other people. And all the other people were actors, and all the other people gave a wrong answer. Now, this is a real interesting question. So out of this very simple question, which actually everyone, like 100% of people get correct when they're in private, but when they're in a part of a group and everyone else gives the wrong answer, 32% of the people answered this question the same way the others did. So the others said B or A, and people just, you can see this actor here, this test subject here, and he's really kind of leaning forward, being like, what? Looking like, I can't believe it, but he's in the end just saying what the others are saying. And 74% of the people behaved like this at least once. So there were a set of questions where the group answered wrong, and they were seeing whether people just repeat the same answer as the others. And this kind of behavior, where you kind of just want to behave like others, is called conforming. So basically, you feel this kind of a pressure to, be the same as the others and adapt their behavior, adapt their answers. And this comes out in very different situations. So in this kind of, giving a wrong answer to an obviously wrong question, but it's also in different social situations. So when a group of people drink poison, it's much more likely for you to also drink poison. And that's what happens when people drink alcohol. Doesn't make any sense, but others do it, so maybe I'll also do it. I had a very great teacher at school. He was always saying this, I think more in terms of math and logics, when we're trying to see if something is true, if something is a pattern. He was always saying that, okay, if a million flies say that poop is good, is it good, really? Yeah, but similar kind of thinking we can also take into our movement. going to meetings, hard meetings, carb meetings, or workshops, or other things. Yeah, how often are we in these situations conforming, behaving the same way because that's kind of what's required of us? For instance, I knew some different people from my own community, who behaved a certain way when they were outside with their friends, but then when they're with the community, then they behave a different way. So they're very careful, not to slip out the swear words that they usually use, and so on. Now, it's very interesting. Let's ask a question. Why do people conform? Why do people behave the way others do? And there are three levels. First of all, there's compliance. So you behave a certain way in order to attain a reward or avoid a punishment. The second level, let's just maybe stop at the first level and give it a thought. So if we consider this in the certain terms of let's say, second gen. So compliance would be when you go to Sunday school because your parents tell you that we'll go to McDonald's afterwards. Or, if you don't get up for Anshil, then you're not going to have some candy later on during the day. So that's compliance, getting a direct reward or punishment if you don't behave or conform according to the group behavior. The second level is identification. So you behave a certain way because you associate yourself with the supporters of that norm or that behavior, and you behave that way because they do. So that's maybe going, enjoying the social benefits at workshops or Sunday service and going there for that. Because you're liking the group and like being part of it. Now, the third and last way of conforming or behaving a certain way is the internalization. So believing that the norm is truly the right way. So this would then be a person who basically says it doesn't matter what happens, I will be unchanged. It doesn't matter what kind of circumstances I'm in, I will keep my standard. So this will be one discussion question that we'll discuss then in the groups later on. Basically, where are you yourself regarding to your life of faith? Is it more compliance? Is it identification or internalization? So a bit of a thought opener there. Okay, I'll finish sharing my screen. Yeah, so yeah, kind of as an opener, Debbie was saying earlier she's already 28, and that really hurt my heart because I'm above 30, luckily just 31, so I'm seeing that still as a positive thing. Yeah, so for me it's, I'm not joining Sunday services just because I can enjoy the Korean food there. I can by now, buy my own Korean food in a restaurant if I wish. So what's my reason for still being around and being active? I want to maybe shortly share about my life. This can go on for hours, but I'll try and keep it within a couple of minutes, 3 minutes or so. So I grew up in a very close community back in Finland. We really knew each other and had several brothers and sisters around my age. Alex was there, of course, part of that community. I think I was a good Sunday school boy and, enjoyed being in that group, part of that community. And then around the age of 15, I think around that age, you start really becoming a bit more aware of the world and what's around you. And, you get out of this child mindset. So around that age, I just realized, okay, I have to decide if I take these things seriously or not. Until then, it's been sitting in that Sunday school and listening to stuff, of course, talking with my parents and so on, so forth. But It's first, okay, if I want to if I want to go this way, then I have to really ascertain for myself, like, is this, like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this properly and not just halfway somehow, just following others and so on. So I started really searching and trying to, well, fundamentally search for God and connect to God, find that connection. And I was studying the Bible first, because we didn't have the Divine Principle book in Finnish that time. Once my English improved, then started reading the DP. And a very important part, other than just academic studying, is actually making devotion when you search for God. And that means praying when no one else is there to see that you're praying. It's going out on prayer walks, which reminds me of one time, I don't know, Alex, if you remember that, but back when you were 13 years old, I did a prayer walk to your home in the middle of the winter. So that was more than 40 kilometers and I arrived like in the evening and my trousers were frozen. Yeah, good times. But that kind of things, just to do devotion, to really try to do something, to discover God, to kind of go out there. And another very important thing is serving in a public role. So not necessarily in a, with a title and a position, but that you're serving others. And I think, yeah, this was kind of my life, and also especially this part of serving others, and yeah, maybe as in the position of an older brother in Finland, especially. I think you can also experience God hard a lot. So that was me, more or less. I was blessed at the age of 21, and I was very committed, very like, okay, this is a very valuable thing, and yeah. And then something happened I never expected to happen. 4 months later, the blessing broke in a very, very painful way, and I hit rock bottom. I was the youth leader in Finland at that time, and really wanted to be a role model to my younger brothers and sisters, and then having gone through this, I really felt suddenly like, hey, I can't be there anymore, like, and I really wanted to withdraw and hide away from that failure, to show a good model for my younger brothers and sisters. Anyway, I was saved by a previous national leader who said that if you quit now, then Satan will have complete victory. Anyway, I think he said that just because he wanted me to continue the job. I mean, but also he meant it, I think. But that kind of helped me to carry on. And after a few months of depression and kind of really being down, just kind of still trying to keep on going, trying to keep giving, even when there's nothing left to give in my heart. But somehow that built a different foundation. And when I picked myself up, maybe you've noticed I'm a bit radical with the things I do, but I shaved my head and did a 7-day fast, and I was like, okay, I'm out of this depression. And that was a first step in a better direction. And after that, there was 6 years of and during that time, 6 unsuccessful matching processes. So quite a bit of time, and then finally 2018 I was blessed with my dear Jonghae. And yeah, but throughout this time of trying to get forward, I was serving in different public roles, and whenever another process went sour and didn't work out after several months of investment and hope, it's the thought when you almost want to give up, and it's hard to believe, but just have to cling on to the hope that God has a plan for the world and for UPF and for the reunification of Korea, but God equally much has a plan for me and for my happiness. And that's the only thing that kept me going at times, with regards to the blessing, especially. Now, during those years, of course, it was not just my personal journey of trying to be blessed, but also I was in different roles and situations, and I saw lots of problems and conflicts in our movement, which often, many of them are actually conflicts between brothers and sisters. I mean, people, and it's not like sometimes easy to be like, okay, that's the problem of the whole movement, but sometimes, often it's something, an issue between a few people. Some of them, of course, are also larger problems. But I did have friends, and especially had role models deviating and leaving the movement. So yeah, the question is, why am I still around after this time, and why am I still excited? So that's I think the main point I want to share tonight. And goodness, I've already spent 15 minutes. So the last 5 minutes, I want to talk more about that. Yeah, because the reason why I'm in the movement, and actually to talk about the movement, I'm not talking about a group. I think the movement is more about the work of God that we're doing, the work, the direction that we're going in. That's the movement. It's like, moving. It's not just stationary group. I'm not here for some personal gains or social benefits, but I believe I'm one with that desire, the direction that we are trying to go in. That's something I've internalized. I know really what our movement is about, and I'm really passionate about bringing this vision to fulfillment. And I don't know if you read the teaser for this one, that's how I can say I am the movement, because I'm part of that work, that um, that providence that God is trying to work. I'm trying to fulfill the vision that we as a movement have. So, as a kind of quick thought, so what is the purpose of our movement? And I think the first point that comes to my mind is, of course, consoling the heart of God. So, yeah, I think the time, different devotion and just life in general, connecting every situation in life to God and sharing it with God, I think allows God to also reveal his heart, and allows us to connect and know what's going on with God. So yeah, for me, it's like God's heart is very real. Especially I can directly connect to this huge, it feels like a huge current, a huge river, is really powerful. That's like somewhere inside of myself that I can touch, and it's something that's much beyond my own capacity. Like I feel I can just touch, and then I'm already like feel like I'm shaking, because of it's too much for me to hold. And I feel that's God's pain and anguish from seeing the suffering of humankind and all his children. Um, and that's something I cannot question. I can't be like, okay, I'll just decide that that doesn't exist, whatever, because Champion gives some new thing that we need to pay, or some leader is, doing something, or my brothers and sisters, or whoever, my central figure, is doing something that I don't agree with. This doesn't change the fundamental. It doesn't change that, what I can feel. And I feel that true parents have really explained this very clearly, what God's heart is, and what the source of his bitter pain is, and what needs to be done in order to resolve that. Yeah, and I think, whatever, like if ever I had some, doubts, or not doubts, but feeling what are parents doing, I think that's, it can never go beyond this, that, that they clearly know God's heart and his suffering, and parents are pushing themselves like crazy, like doing the world tours. When I was younger, I thought, oh, traveling is fun and so on, but the pace that they're traveling is at their age is crazy. And both parent, like father was in a wheelchair towards the end of his time, but whenever he was giving a speech, standing up and so on. So it's like a crazy person doing that. So the only thing that's motivating them is knowing that if they can do even a bit to relieve God's suffering, then it's worth doing. And I think often when I don't understand the way parents act or do, it's because I just maybe can't see from the Messiah's position. But sometimes when I take a step back and see what would I do if I had that perspective, then probably would be something similar. Goodness, I'm running out of time. Of course, there's many good things to do in the world, but it feels like leaving the movement would be a bit like leaving the central point. And it doesn't mean like doing something else good in the world isn't bad, but it's a bit like John the Baptist, who was focusing so much on protesting against the king instead of supporting Jesus. Or sometimes having this mindset in life, which I think happens to lots of people. When you have a career and family, that I have married a wife, I have bought me a cow, and that's why I don't have time. But it feels like that's missing something, or just kind of ignoring something. So back to the purpose of our movement, and I've reached the time limit, so I'll be really, really quick, Peter. So practically also, the more I understand about economics and the world, the more I notice that parents have actually found the key problem and the key solution to all the problems in the world. So whether it be climate change, stupid politicians, or social structures, these are all symptoms, and focusing on them is not bad, but it's much more valuable to focus to treat the cause. And the cause of all the problems in the world is human selfishness. And the solution is living for the sake of others. And that is the core of our movement, trying to make this change in human hearts. So a change of government will not help. A change of laws will not help. A change of international policies will not help to change this world. It's only when our human hearts change that we can really start solving the problem at the root. So that's what our movement, that's what parents are fundamentally working on. So the change we need in the world is so fundamental. Yeah. And I feel that if I can bring the world even one step forward by doing this work, then my life will have been worth it. And the world that we envision, that your parents envision, is that people and groups and countries not competing against each other, but living for the sake of each other. So having the healthy interdependence. As an economist, from the business point of view, looking at the world, the economy is not sustainable. We're destroying the world because we're taking more and trying to create value for shareholders. But we need to reduce the excessive consumption and instead focus on mutual prosperity. And of course, the world we want to finally see is that where everyone can live in true joy and fulfillment, by understanding what is the source of real happiness. And I think that's, really living for the sake of others and understanding what is the source of true happiness. And that is the three blessings, fulfilling the three blessings. And that's why we need the universally shared values that we are promoting. Brothers and sisters, I've been a bit over time. I hope you're okay. But I'd like to finish now and share some discussion questions with you. Peter, will you post them to the chat or?
Yes, I think Alex will post them. But before that, can we please give a round of applause, show our hands, do something? Ooh, thank you so much, Alex, Anton. That was really nice. And I think this it's not just a speech. It's really a you're sharing your way of life with us. These are not empty words, but they're filled with love and content from your spirit and who you are. So we will now go into discussion groups for about 14 minutes. And I'll read the questions. They're in the chat, so you can then discuss them afterwards. And so remember the 3 levels of conforming: compliance, identification, and internalization. Where would you say your life of faith is at? 2, what do you see our movement working towards? What are you working towards in life? 3, have you experienced serving / giving to others in a public role? How did that feel? 4, how about giving, serving when you felt you had nothing left to give? So those are the questions. Excellent questions. So I will see you in 14 minutes again. We are now going to open the breakout groups.
I think Kyung had a quick question, if we have time for her.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I think I saw Anya ask it in the chat if we could just get a recap of the definitions of the compliance and the other ones, because I think I just need a bit of a recap, and thank you, Antto, for that. You did say you bought yourself a car, right? Because I thought I heard you said you bought a cow, and I thought, okay.
No. Sorry, I was singing the song, you know.
Okay.
I cannot come.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
My bad. I heard wrong altogether.
No, you actually heard right. I did say I bought a cow, you know. That's But because it's in the song, it says, you know.
Okay.
What did you name the cow? No.
According to a certain Swedish person.
A lot of Swedish people. This doesn't have to be me, okay?
All right, should I open the rooms now? Cool.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Antto, again.